r/NoSleep. Posted by Reddit user PinkFever19. I stayed at the new luxury hotel with my best friend, but on our very first night over, I was given a strange set of rules that instructed me on how to stay alive. Part 2. I found another note. Someone slid it under my door about an hour ago. Well, as you can see, I made it through the night. I'm alive, but regrettably, I'm also somehow still in hell. Before I start, I would like to thank you all for your words of encouragement. I know many of you are thinking I'm either making this all up or just someone who's looking to write a great story for the sake of entertainment. But I can assure you, everything I'm experiencing is real. Whether or not you believe what you read so far is up to you. But I want to thank you nonetheless for being here. It's silly, but interacting with you guys was really the only thing keeping me sane. There are no words to describe how grateful I am to all of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Anyways, a lot had happened. A lot. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like this place is very keen on letting me go. The man did come to my room last night. I saw his footsteps. I also saw that he wore a very black suit, darker than any color I had ever seen before. His face was not very visible, but to best describe it, all I could see were his very thin, very dry lips, widened to an unsettling degree. He paced the room several times, whistling some sort of tune. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it sounded like an old nursery rhyme. I don't remember the name, sorry. The room dropped in temperature drastically, and, despite holding my breath, I was fairly certain he would catch me because my heartbeat was so loud. I'm not sure how smart it was to hide under the bed, but that's exactly what I did. He looked through the closet door, then paced the room again several more times. But that's all he really did. He didn't exactly leave through the front door, he just, left. Much like how he came. He was just gone. I can't describe it any other way. I waited several more minutes before coming out again, and thankfully, I didn't hear any laughter. According to the other letter, I had plenty of time before 5 to expect my unexpected visitor. My ankle is still very sore. I now know that I fractured it somehow, but I've been using one of the water bottles to help numb the pain. They're still pretty cold, and I removed one of the pillow covers to wrap it up to use as a temporary ice pack. I cried for the rest of the night. I can't recall the last time I ever cried so hard. I wanted to go home. I still want to go home. The money both Trina and I saved up all these years, we wasted it. We unknowingly exchanged it for our lives. How the hell has this place not been demolished? Why hasn't anyone noticed? Am I the only one who survived this long? Will they even let me leave? There's just so many questions, and I know there's a very good chance I'll never get any answers. It was around 5 when I got a knock at the door. I managed to limp my way over to it, trembling in fear. Not sure if I was supposed to look through the peephole then. It never stated in the note if I could this time. But I did, and you wouldn't believe it. The visitor was Trina. After pulling her inside, she started to ask me what's wrong, but all I could do was hold her and bawl my eyes out into her chest. She didn't really make any effort to comfort me, only asking me over and over again what was wrong. Stuff like, did something happen? Are you all right? Why are you crying? She asked question after question, and the more she asked, the more worried she sounded. I don't know exactly how long I cried for, but after calming down, I did manage to get a better look at her. Trina was taller, and her hair was a bit longer. But besides that, she didn't look much different. At least, at the time she didn't. Of course, things only started getting weirder from there. Putting aside the rules for a moment, I started asking her my own questions, like where she went and why she was gone for so long. I know it probably wasn't the best decision, but I had to make more of an effort to not break down again. And asking questions, especially ones that could be answered and explained, it was an action that did help keep my mind off the terror surrounding me, even for a little bit. Not to mention, keeping my sanity in check. Unfortunately for me, her smile was unsettling, and her teeth were somehow brighter than I remembered. She told me she decided to go for a short walk before bed, and apologized for not inviting me to go along with her. Before I could say anything else, her smile widened in delight, and she asked me a question that filled me with dread. "Would you like to go with me this time? You seem stressed." I froze. As stupid as it was, I did. She asked me again if I was all right, grabbing me by the hand and slowly started leading me towards the door. I yelped in pain as my ankle throbbed. She didn't seem to pay mind to it and continued leading me to the room's exit. I tried pulling away, but her grip was firm. My voice was gone, silenced by fear alone. I was trembling so much it was hard to even stand on my own 2 feet. The moment she had her hand on the door handle, I, thankfully, somehow managed to finally say something in a very small tone. I told her no. Now this is when I started noticing something else was definitely off with her. Her movements were slow, but she did stop to turn to me, confused. "Well, why not?" My throat was so dry then. Everything just hurt. It was frustrating that she refused to acknowledge the poor condition I was in. Something very unlike the Trina I knew. The Trina I grew up with. This thing, it wasn't her. Whoever I was interacting with wasn't Trina. She's a nurse. Well, at least she's going to school to be one. And as annoying as it was sometimes, she would once in a while lecture me about my health, about how I ate too much fast food or didn't exercise enough. Trina would have never overlooked something as noticeable as a sprained ankle. Not to mention overlook how much pain I was in. For someone who would coddle me for even getting the smallest paper cut, this just couldn't be her. After racking my brain a bit, I came up with an excuse. Something about wanting to go to bed because I was too tired to do anything else. And that I had already stayed up later than usual to watch the old drama flick we both liked. That seemed to do the trick. She actually took it better than I anticipated, but it did seem to somewhat disappoint her. Her hand did not leave mine, grip still tight and unwavering. But with this, I managed to bring us both back over towards the bed. "Well, do you want something to eat? I could get us room service," she had offered. And no way in hell I was going to let her call that bellboy, or anyone else for that matter, into this room, even if nothing about this was mentioned in the rules. I wasn't taking any chances. "No, that's fine. If you're not tired, we could always just, talk, I guess?" My voice was still trembling. I'm surprised she understood me, but then again, she also didn't seem to notice how afraid I was. She shrugged. "Sure. What about?" I had to remind myself over and over again to play along, to pretend that whoever this is, or whatever this is, was Trina, and that I had to treat her like Trina. I brought up some topics and questions about nursing school, once or twice bringing up our favorite TV show and talking about the latest episodes and what we would love to see next. She never missed a beat, and was even optimistic when talking about the test she recently took. Her words were so genuine, but I couldn't get over how unsettling her smile was. It looked wider. Her teeth were brighter. She looked human, but at the same time, she was all off. I don't know how else to describe it. The longer we talked, the more and more tired I felt. I was exhausted, but, as instructed, I by no means fell asleep. I refused to be left vulnerable with that thing. She did ask me one particular question I found odd. Something to do with the last time I thought about taking my own life. It put me off guard, but I told her honestly that I never thought of anything of the sort. Life meant a lot to me. It still does. She only gave a brief nod before changing the topic, going on about one of her favorite professors and how cute he was. I never noticed the sun coming up until she pointed it out herself. Her whole demeanor changed, and she gave a heavy sigh. I'm not sure if it was in relief or defeat. "Oh, man, we didn't get a lot of sleep, did we?" she mentioned, once again slightly disappointed. "Maybe we should at least try to get an extra hour before heading out." "Sure," I said, "but could you first go downstairs and see what's for breakfast? If we're having French toast, I want to be the first one in line. Also, feel free to bring up some coffee or something, if that's also ready." I don't know how I managed to do it, but I guess I should be giving myself a little bit more credit, coming up with so many excuses on the spot. It worked again. She smiled once more and then got up. We stared at one another for a moment, and I swear the air felt a lot colder. Reluctantly, she eventually agreed and told me to call her if I needed anything from the lobby, and then she was gone. It took her a bit to get to the door, but the moment she closed it behind her, I felt a huge sense of relief. It was finally over. I could get out of here. Not knowing if I should take my things out of the tub, I just left it there, and only took my suitcase. I would be missing my favorite dress, but clothes could always be replaced. And the both of us planned on going to a huge shopping spree while we were here anyways, so I didn't pack much. No one was at the front desk when I got there, but it wasn't 7 yet. I rang the service bell a few times, but no one came. At some point, an old lady did come out of the elevator, carrying with her 2 very large bags. She asked me if I could help her out. Remembering the rules, I told her no, and pointed to my new swollen ankle. I think that shocked her, because she asked me what happened, even offered to drive me to the hospital. I lied and told her I was waiting for my friend to come down, and that didn't help at all. It took me more effort than I expected to get rid of her, and the more I denied her, the angrier she seemed to get. She finally did leave me alone after one hotel staff member came by and aided her. They both gave me a real nasty look before heading outside to God knows where. I waited for what seemed like an eternity, and for the most part, I almost wish it was, because anything would have been better than going back in that room. But it happened. The clock struck 7, and I screamed. I screamed and cried, begging someone to come out of the front desk, but no one did. I begged and begged. I even tried to jump the counter to see if anyone was back there, but a gut feeling told me not to, and instead I angrily threw the bell at the door, realizing that I would have to spend another night in absolute hell. Guys, what should I do? I haven't seen anyone since yesterday, not even the maids. I don't know who else to ask, and even if I could ask, I think I'd be too afraid to. Well, As you've probably figured out, I'm at the moment back in my hotel room typing this up. The new letter has the exact same rules as before, but there's a message this time, along with a few more rules. I'll type as followed. If you're reading this, I'm sorry. I never figured out why they decided to keep some survivors for more than one night. But hopefully, you are still well enough to push forward. I once again strongly suggest you follow steps 1 through 17 like before. And I hate to be the one to tell you this, but here are some more rules that you are more than likely gonna need to follow to see another day. 18. Now they know you by name. They will start calling you out by the window. Don't ever answer, and don't ever go to look. 19. At around midnight, it is possible that the bellboy will knock at your door again, asking if you ordered room service. However, this time he'll be a bit more persistent. If he answers the usual, don't open the door. If he says anything else, tell him to leave it by the door. Wait until he leaves to retrieve the dish. Don't ever look through the peephole. 20. If you retrieve the dish, don't ever eat what's on it. Instead, dump it all in the waste bin. He will come back for your dish this time and ask you about your meal. You will tell him it was delicious, thank you, and nothing more. He will ask for the dishware back. Don't ever respond, and whatever you do not open the door. He will go away. 21. The phone will ring for you, and you will once again hear the woman at the front desk. One of two things may happen. She will either give you instructions to follow like last time, or you will hear her scream bloody murder. If the latter happens, I'm sorry. 22. If you didn't hear her scream, and you've successfully completed her tasks, congratulations. 23. Now here's where it gets, once again, a little tricky. There is a chance that someone will knock at your door again. Open the door. If it's a man, he will ask you if you've seen his hat. Tell him yes, and that you actually turned it in to Lost and Found. He will thank you and leave. Don't gawk at his appearance. If no one is at the door, you must go 2 doors down to your left and knock on the door 3 times. Kindly ask them to stop knocking on your door, and that if they really need someone, contact the front desk. You will hear footsteps approaching the door afterwards. Make it back to your room before they catch you. 24. I left something for you under your bed. It's for emergencies only, so please only use it if and when necessary. 25. We don't keep paintings in the guest room. If you see one, turn it over and ignore anything they try to tell you. Well, there's a painting of a woman in the bathroom. She's blonde and wearing a sundress, posing in what looks like to be some sort of curtsy, while also smiling happily at something over to the left of her. I turned it over as mentioned. I can't remember if it was even in there in the first place when we arrived. But I think I hear it sobbing. That, or I really am going crazy. This place, this hotel, it's not normal. I don't know what else to say except now I'm afraid to pee in a bathroom that's probably haunted by some weird painting, if not worse. Who's leaving notes for me? I never really considered how or why this person is trying to help me, or how many others they have helped, or why they only leave notes. It's practically killing me to having all these questions and no one to ask for answers. I'm exhausted. I really miss Trina. I don't think I've quite accepted the fact that I'll never see her again. What am I supposed to tell her family? What am I supposed to tell mine? For some reason, my phone glitches out every time I try making a call, bringing me back to the lock screen before I have a chance to scroll through my contact list. A part of me is still convinced that this is all some horrible nightmare. But I know that it can't be, because my ankle is throbbing and won't allow me to. I can hardly move. I'm not sure if I will even make it tonight because of this. I'm so scared. I can't stop crying. And I am so tired. I can't pray. I don't have the energy. It's currently about 3 hours since I've been back, and I can hear people now going about the hallway like normal. I don't know if they're real or something the hotel is fabricating. I'm going to try to get as much rest as I can. When tonight comes, I don't know if I will see tomorrow, but I'll be damned if I don't try. All I can do is try. I don't want to die. Not like this. Not by the hands of this hotel. I want to live. There's nothing more I've ever wanted. I'll try updating again if I somehow make it, but because the odds aren't exactly in my favor, I want to thank you all once again for being here with me, comforting me. I know Trina would appreciate you guys too, so I want to thank you on her behalf as well. I wish you nothing but happiness, but whatever you do, don't stay here. Don't stay at the Recreation Hotel. Don't ever make the same mistake I did. Life is wonderful. Don't take it for granted. Love you all. And I know this might sound broken by now, but thank you for being here. Until then.